Welcome to the Filmistines, the podcast where we discuss all things movies. Join us as we dive deep into the latest releases, revisit classic films, and explore the art of cinema. Whether you're a film fanatic or just love a good flick, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we'll be breaking down the storytelling, cinematography, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready for some cinematic magic. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $20 tier grants the ability to request films for future episodes. How fun is that? Every little bit counts. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience.
All around you.
Well, welcome back everyone to another episode of our mini-series where I read a book and we watch the movie and then we should talk the movie.
Sometimes.
Most
of the time.
No.
90% of the time.
Yeah. Jokes. All jokes. I'm here today joined by my friend, the giver.
Hello, friend.
Hi,
I'm the
friend.
giver.
You're the giver.
You're the receiver.
I'm the receiver. Well, how you doing? Have you watched anything new recently?
My eyelids.
Your eyelids. Okay.
My dreams.
Your dreams. That's nice.
I told you about that dream I had with you and the cat and the heat gun.
Yeah.
And that was weird.
Yeah, that's a weird dream. I don't know what it was trying to tell you, but I have a dream interpretation book. Maybe we can take a look at it. Interpret your dream.
Yeah, I don't remember enough of it probably to do a good interpretation.
You know what I did watch recently? It's a movie on Hulu. I don't know who made it, but it's called The Pregnancy Project. It's kind of an old movie. I think it's like 2012 or something from back then. Have you ever heard of that? Seen that? It's a movie about this girl, and she's a senior in high school. And her senior project, she decides to do a social experiment where she pretends to be pregnant, and she doesn't tell anybody that it's fake. So the only two people that know that her pregnancy is fake is her mom and her boyfriend. And then she's just trying to first she starts off as kind of like a statistical how people feel about teenage pregnancy, pregnant girls in high school, and then it kind of transformed into a project about stereotypes. And I mean, it's crazy, like all these teachers that respected her, because she's like this really smart girl. She's a straight A student. She's going places. And her teachers all of a sudden start just, talking shit, saying she's going nowhere. She's also of Hispanic descent. So they're like, she's ending up like everyone in her family. I'm surprised she even wants to go to college. Her life is ruined. Her life is over. And, all her friends are also shit talking her, and even her family is just mad at her. Like, you're so smart. Why did you make this dumb decision? And she's just trying to say, my life's not over just because I'm having a kid this young. It's just going to be really hard. So, I mean, it's an okay movie. It's got definitely an interesting plot. I think it's based off a true story. Some kid actually did this in her high school for her senior project, and she went on and I think wrote books and did some really cool stuff. So it's a good movie.
That's super cool. Yeah, she just probably earned her an easy path into some great schools. Pulling that kind of stunt. Yeah. Ironically, because her teachers are like, nah, you're fucking your life up.
Yeah.
In fact, your
life is over. That to them, that's what they were saying.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
I'd recommend it. It's a good watch.
Oh, okay.
Just something fun.
That's cool. Especially if that actually happened. That's super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I have not been watching anything that we haven't covered or will not cover.
Okay. Today, we are talking about The Giver.
The Giver?
The Giver.
Did we watch that?
Yes. So, the book was published in 1993 by Lois Lowry.
Okay. Pretty recent for canonical reads. I know this is a pretty popular read in elementary, middle, high school, whatever. Yeah.
The movie was released in 2014.
Okay.
So that's 11 years later, right? Do my math right?
9.
9.
The other way.
The other way.
Subtract 1.
By Philip Noyce.
Noise.
Noyce.
Yeah, and he's got some filming chops as far as history. He's made quite a few films. I saw.
Yeah, I also saw. Didn't recognize any of them.
I did not recognize any of them either.
Okay, that's good to know.
It looks like he's of Australian descent. He's cut from the Australian cinematic world, which is cool. The most famous Australian movie is
Kangaroo Jack.
That's probably up there. I don't know if that's like Australian made. I wonder where that was filmed actually. That's a funny call. Funny shout out. I was going to say Mad Max, of course.
Oh.
But good try.
My money's still on Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah, I want to know where that's filmed. That's a good point. That's funny.
So Lois Lowry was born in 1937.
Okay, she's still alive?
She's still alive.
Nice.
Yes. And she was pretty old when she wrote this book.
Yeah.
She was, okay, she was in her 40s. Not too old, but on the older side. That's when she started writing books in her 40s. And she wrote this one when she was 50-something. So, I don't know.
Is it her most famous book?
The Giver, and also Number the Stars.
Okay.
Which is one of my favorite childhood books.
Is it for children? Like smaller, young people?
I think Number the Stars is a little bit for younger people than The Giver. It's about the Holocaust, and it's from the point of view of this girl, and she's non-Jewish, but her neighbor and her friends
are Jewish.
Her best friend, are Jewish.
Is it semi biographical?
No.
Did she experience that?
No.
Okay.
She didn't experience that, but she was just inspired by it. And her dad was like an army dude, so she traveled a lot, especially in out of the States. So she was just kind of inspired by that. But I've always loved that book, and I didn't realize, I didn't put 2 and 2 together that they were written by the same author. So it's pretty interesting. I read The Giver, I want to say I was like in 7th grade. It wasn't assigned or anything. It was just a book I picked up and read. But apparently it was very controversial when it came out.
That's good. Controversial books are few and far between. We don't have enough of them because most writers aren't worth their weight in shit.
A lot of parents were trying to get it banned from school.
Why? Okay.
Yeah, it became a book that was so worth studying, especially in grade school, that a lot of parents were trying to ban it just because of some of the topics that it talked about, like violence, a bit of sexual content. I don't really know where the sexual content comes in this book besides giving birth, which
isn't sexual.
I mean, I guess, they do have something called the stirrings, which is kind of imply that it's, feeling kind of horny. They never say that though.
Do you think it has anything to do with its roots living in kind of an objectivism Ayn Rand world?
Well, they also talk about, they don't talk about it. They also imply, well, it's not an implication, it actually happens. How do you say that? Euthanasia and infanticide.
Well, what is that?
Infanticide. Is that how you say that? That is when you kill a baby.
Oh.
Suicide.
Oh, infant.
Infanticide. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Why they were trying to remove it from the classrooms. They didn't like that it was implicating that babies were being murdered. And, Jonas does get some memories about war and hunger.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the violence come in. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing this as something you would want to get banned.
Yeah, I guess this was at the dawn of the super coddle era. So anything, I feel anything could go. I could believe anything wanting to be banned by some of these parents these days. So I'm not that surprised because this gets into very real, topics. This makes I mean, the book at least makes you. I can imagine. I didn't read it, but I can premise wise, I can see how that makes people actually think for the first time in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And parents and society, corporations, they don't want you to think like this, and so I can see it being controversial on that level. Same thing. That's why I kind of feel like there was a very big Ayn Rand core here, where this feels like a dramatized version of Anthem in some way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anthem's a little more bare bones because it's more of a philosophical doctrine than this is, but this is very much just as much a philosophical doctrine, I would say.
You think we're still there? Do you think parents are still trying to ban books from school, from schools?
No, because I don't think enough people read now. I think that coddling and people trying to ban books came from a once removed kind of generation from people who were super vicious readers, and because that was like, one of the main hobbies and ways to entertain at one point, right?
Yep.
And it, and there was like a real boom in just the book business in the early 1900s and stuff, and so there's just a real big fad kind of happening right there. And so and at the same time, we were having some of the greatest minds to ever hit the planet start writing and publish books, and the world was globalizing, and we were seeing, how 1940s Japanese, most, anti kind of imperialist, anti-Nazi, even though they were experienced Nazistic tendencies because they were being forced into the modern world and they didn't know how to respond. And we were also seeing at the same time the Soviets find their own and Nazism just fall apart. And it became kind of a weird, I think, in the written world, I think it became kind of irresistible for people. And then that proliferated for the next generation and a half, or 2 generations even, next 35 40 years kind of thing. And these people maybe became disturbed on one level by all of this, and that disturbia kind of trickled down through the next generation's kids, and then that's when things really started to change, I think, because that next generation inherently read less because there was just all of a sudden TV and early video games, and then the internet shortly after. And so we were able to, that disturbia was just left to fester and be forgotten about in the sense that we didn't reflect on it as a society. And so it just kind of got out of control, and it bred what we call today coddling.
Yeah.
And that in itself is proliferating in many other directions, and it's irreversible, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it's completely irreversible especially without completely reforming, the school system, which is just not going to happen. That's just not a thing that's going to happen unless the United States completely falls apart in some capacity. But then I can't imagine, to be honest, I'm not of the European, many cultures and everything, but I can't imagine their school systems varying that much even to the United States, because it's the modern world and how considering how connected we are in a social way and a business way, that things just can't be that, they can't deviate that much from one another. So it's I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, I have a hard time grasping the concept of banning books from schools. That's just something I would never think. I mean, I don't have kids. I'm not a parent, so I can't really put myself in that situation. But if I had a kid, I can't ever imagine banning them reading anything.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. In a totalitarian country, the first thing they take away is freedom of speech. The next thing they take away is freedom of expression. And that is often and primarily in the form of books. Yeah. So just when people say that, it doesn't scream things like Nazism per se, but it kind of does. It screams totalitarian, just weird levels of control. And it's you want to talk about disturbing? People protesting books is hella disturbing.
Yes.
You should be, those people especially in like the United States or, other free countries that imply some kind of freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Those people should be the first people to defend ideas they don't agree with, so we can help build this narrative that it's okay to speak your mind.
Yeah, I mean,
and what were you gonna say?
Two things on that. First of all, did nobody read The Book Thief or Fahrenheit 451 about banning books? Like,
those are also canonical books,
yes,
or at least at one point were in the school system, right? Especially Fahrenheit 451. That's like one of the most famous books to ever be written today.
Yes, I completely agree.
Top probably 20, I would argue.
And then second point, the author loved that her book brought this much controversy, and said pretty much exactly the same thing you said. I'm so glad that this is being challenged about being banned, because what my story is about is pretty much what I don't want to happen, which is what you guys are trying to cause to happen. Yeah. So come on, like, wake up here.
How Lynchian. I like to hear that, because that tells me she's an intellectual, I guess, first and foremost, but she's also an artist. And she understands that challenging the mind is so essential in writing, in producing things like books and other works of art, especially in her case and many others, trying to write a thing of philosophical, intrigue. It's infinitely upsetting to hear that people challenge like her books and other people's books and whatever, even video games and music even, right, in the ways they do. But it's also beautiful, I guess, that it does, because it proves some kind of primitive necessity for art in general. Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah, I mean, this book was challenged, from what I could read, it was challenged a lot in a lot of schools throughout the whole U.S., upwards to like 11,000 recorded, from big to small cases of this book just trying to get banned, it's just crazy.
When was it introduced in the school system? Was it kind of immediate?
Yeah, like the next year.
That's fucking sick.
1995.
That's sick. That's when people Congratulations, started. Lois Lowry, dude. That's awesome. I love to hear that.
And one more thing, I guess. Did you ever have anybody in school, especially elementary school, that wasn't allowed to stay in the room when the teacher read certain things? When I was in 5th grade, I remember our teacher was reading the Chronicles of Narnia out loud to the class. It was just our reading time to listen to her read out loud. Sometimes she would read, sometimes she'd play the audio version, and we would all have a copy of the book and just follow along. And there was this one girl in the class, and she was not allowed to sit in while the teacher read the book. She had to go to Miss someone's classroom every day during our reading time. And as a kid, I just remember thinking that was crazy.
Why?
Because of
some Christian shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't Chronicles of Narnia like a notorious? Isn't it notoriously symbolic to like embellish Christianity? Yeah. Isn't it like that? I mean,
did the parents even read the book? That's the next question here, because I think the issue there was the magic that they talked about in the
magic. What about these so-called miracles Jesus likes to pull out of his ass? That's kind of funny, because that was a big thing between Tolkien and C.K. Lewis. Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so. The Narnia guy.
And they were best friends. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. I think you told me, actually.
Yeah, they were good friends. They used to write together in competitive ways and try to finish certain things. And then, of course, I don't know if their competition revolved around being famous. I don't know if that happened in the 50s. Celebrityism wasn't like it is today.
Right.
You couldn't monetize being famous. I guess that was just getting going, at least in the 50s and 40s. But I think they revolve around similar points of symbolism around like World War II, from different angles, and ones like that more. I can't really speak too much other than I can't say much about it at all other than C.K. Lewis supposedly revolving around a little bit more of a Christian slant.
Yeah.
That's what I've always heard. So yeah, that's especially weird if you're not allowed to read or listen in on the Chronicles of Narnia, and it was specifically kind of made for that audience.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that just probably speaks on so many levels on the parents. Maybe they just read a synopsis and saw the word magic, or, Aslan came back to life and they were like, what is this? Witchcraft stuff? I don't know.
That's your story, bro.
Duh. And, same with the kids that weren't allowed to read Harry Potter. That's such a big thing. Like, that was such a big thing growing up here in the South. A lot of kids didn't read Harry Potter because of the magic, and I don't know what else. I mean, really, it's just the magic that they have a problem with. But it's funny you say miracles, because, come on.
Yeah, and the Harry Potter thing was backed by some kind of, not the whole premise of it, but, Voldemort is sort of a Nazi. He's a, what do they call, whatever it is, that in itself was kind of backed by Hitler's Christian, upbringing, right? Isn't that his whole thing?
Yeah.
Or part of it? That they are like the chosen people? Voldemort's kind of, acting as a Hitler figure. Wouldn't you think that would be kind of, you should be, the Christians should be on Voldemort's side on some level, right? Or at least the Nazi Christian folks, right? I don't know if there's very many of those anymore. Or, I don't know, or ever. I don't know.
Any what?
Nazi sympathizers?
Oh, Nazi sympathizer. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Aryan.
Aryan, okay. That's the word. The Aryan race.
The Aryan race, yeah. Not Arabian. That's close, though.
Yeah, those are people of Arabia.
Yeah.
Like Aladdin.
Arabian Nights.
And the same thing's happening with the...
So The Giver. It's a book about an 11-year-old named Jonas. And he lives in a society that experiences something called sameness, which it's just, this dystopian society kind of trying to pass off as utopian. Everyone's okay. Nobody experiences anything different. There's no individuality. There's no hunger. There's no pain. There's even no color. What? So it's a little bit of a sci-fi book, if I'm...
Of course, yeah.
If I'm allowed to say that. Because you don't have a lot of your sci-fi tropes here, but I think this is definitely in the sci-fi realm.
Yeah, I think dystopian inherently kind of leans into that.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any utopian books? Or, has that ever been... I feel like this is going to be really boring to read, but... Because they kind of inherently fall into dystopian when you have any kind of...
message about...
Yeah, because, what is a utopia? Just...
perfection?
Just...
nothing's wrong, I guess?
Yeah. Is it just this fleeting thing that's indescribable, almost like altruism, where it's just not really a thing that actually happens? You can always you can always find your way out of it.
Yeah. Into
something more negative, I guess. Or however you look at it. Dystopian's not negative. I like it. It's fun. We live in a dystopian world. Just get on the internet.
So does that surprise you that Jonas is supposed to be 11 years old? When watching the film.
Oh, yeah. He's probably, 17,
yeah.
18?
16, youngest 16, probably up to 17.
Yeah, that surprises me because the whole premise, the whole intro is about him getting his job. And so it feels like 11's a little young for that.
Yeah.
But is that the same?
Yeah. They
go to work at 11?
Yeah, you're 11. Well, you're 11 years old, and then you enter the ceremony of the 12. So, and the ceremony of the 12 is important because now you are an adult. You get your role, your job that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And the book starts off with Jonas being really nervous about what his role is going to be. And just kind of having 11-year-old boy thoughts about it. I don't know. I think the age is pretty important.
Sure. It sounds like that revolves around the biological timeline to start reproducing.
Yeah.
And so that feels completely intentional, and puberty is happening, and
yeah,
for girls, their period and stuff. And
yeah, and especially them wanting to control childbirth, because they do control that too. You're an adult. Yeah. So that's something I didn't like about the movie, that they didn't keep them younger. I know we've discussed this a bit during our Ender's Game podcast, or Ender's Game episode, where we talk about, child actors and how hard it is. So maybe there was a little bit something going on there, but at least get somebody that's okay, maybe a little bit older, but still looks younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Or keep them young. I mean, you even go as far as to give them a love interest, and Jonas doesn't have a love interest.
Yep. Thank you, American filmmaking.
I don't know what makes directors
and producers
okay want to move towards that. I don't get it. That's not what this book is about at all, and it's a big thing in the movie. I mean, the movie just completely it's just all wrong. He has this love interest. He has this, these feelings towards Fiona, and then she has them back towards him, and there's kissing and touching, which is a big deal in this community that you don't do. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just taken too far. I don't know what I'm trying to say. That it's not in the book, first of all, and putting it in the movie doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, I don't know what it's this weird desire to vanillify and romanticize just everything, to gentrify in like a film level, in a film sense, to just totally make it indistinguishable from what this is like, like a movie that you might think of. I'm not going to give you an example. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but you have this group of movies and there's just like no high points or low points. There's just it's just a vanilla-ness that they add into this. And I don't know what that is about producers wanting to, I know what it is. These producers are not storytellers, and they're damn sure not philosophers. There's not one fucking producer out there that's a philosopher, so there's disconnection there. And then not to mention, was Lois even involved?
I don't think so, from what I could read.
Massive fucking mistake, if you can avoid it, right? If she's, the other person's alive. And not that she's gonna have, or they're gonna have, a crazy influence on the filmmaking part of it, because she's probably not a filmmaker. So it is different. But this book, the premise seems like it was perfect for film. It seemed like an Akira Kurosawa type, or a Stanley Kubrick type premise to really get something really cool across. Whether they treat it the same way as they do in the book or not, like they could maybe take a Clockwork Orange route and have some interesting divergences, especially in the end or something, where they're kind of more companion pieces, and how two ways to look at the same coin, two different sides. But I would guess this director is probably just a pawn for the producers, because he's got some, filmmaking chops, right? He knows how to organize people. He knows how to command people into doing something, right? And then the producers are really calling the shots in this, because it's so vanilla, just screams.
Yeah.
We're just trying to cash in on the giver name, basically. I'm surprised aesthetically. I'm surprised the black and whiteness was like somewhat effective, but that's also kind of low hanging fruit, because it's so easy to do that in a cinematic environment,
Mm-hmm.
So I can't hardly even appreciate that, because it's just so obvious,
right?
And then I guess the next coolest thing would probably be is like the houses, because there was a lot of, I don't know how much CG was going on in there, but the cookie cutter kind of futuristic looking square houses and stuff were cool.
Yeah, that's something I liked about the film too. How this, I guess, world in The Giver was developed. Some of that cookie cutter houses, and it was really a big point in the book that everything was very flat. You know, you don't want any bumps, you don't want any hills, you don't want anything that could potentially cause some hurt or delay or of any sort. And the climate in this world is controlled. There's no real sunshine anymore, nothing. So I get that feeling in the film. So they got one thing right.
Yeah, I would agree. They did a pretty good job of, especially when they would pan around the city, it looked pretty good, and it looked pleasing and sensible, and it's just until everybody started talking and working together, you know. But there were some fun design decisions made here.
So in the book, Jonas struggled a lot with receiving these memories from the giver. Some of the first memories he received, he tried to keep them fun and light, like experiencing snow or experiencing some color. Then he kind of started getting a little bit rougher on experiencing one of the memories he received was getting sunburned, which was pretty cool. You know, we've all gotten sunburned, so we know that feeling. And it's not the worst pain in the world, but it fucking hurts, you know, to get sunburned. So I just thought it was something cool to be giving someone that memory of. And he's also given hunger, what it feels like to be hungry. And he's kind of fighting with himself on, okay, why would we not want to experience snow? Why would we not want to experience these joyous, wonderful things? And then when he gets his bad memories, he's like, okay, now I kind of understand why we want to live in this kind of society. And he's, coming to terms with, okay, I can see it, which I didn't get any of that from the movie Jonas.
No, he just ran away from. Was that when he saw the war scene, the war memory? He ran away. He's like, I can't take this.
Yeah, I mean,
that was it in the movie.
Yeah, we don't get any of these other memories.
There was no internal struggle for Jonas. He was fucking all in on, like, we need to share this shit. This is some good stuff. It was like a drug to him. He was immediately addicted, with the exception of that one memory of what the human condition is capable of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why didn't we give him more conflict? Why not? I don't know.
They could have approached this movie strictly from the angle of that internal conflict, and we could have had this really ethereal, fun, not fun, I guess, but interesting cinematic experience where it's just a character study of going from feeling nothing to not understanding the human condition, but experiencing it for the very first time. Because that's what was stripped out of their existence, basically, is, from my perspective, how I interpret this, or how I see it, I should say from my perspective, not so much of an interpretation, because it's kind of interpreted really one way, because they literally are taking away, what once was what all humans were all about, killing each other, experiencing each other, love, art, right? Being jealous of each other, but going from nothing to just a rush of it over the course of, I don't know how long he's a receiver.
He's a receiver for, I think, 10 months.
10 months. And then he's the giver?
From the start? Oh, no. Okay, so he's the receiver for a while until he has all of the giver's memories. Because I don't know if this point was made in the film, but once the giver gives him all the memories, the giver doesn't have them anymore. Jonas now has them. So that is the point of a receiver. That is his job. His job is to store the memories so no one else can be harmed by them. Which is the point of Rosemary. She's crucial. She's key.
And so she gets away with some memories that are, like, lost?
Yes. So
that's completely lost on the fucking movie.
I know. She she's the next receiver. She's 10 years before Jonas.
Oh, so there's a little bit of a drama happening here. I didn't even...
She's like the key point to this. It's, oh my God, it's crazy. So she's working with the giver for, I think, 2 weeks. And he manages to give her a few memories for 2 weeks. And she couldn't take it. She couldn't take it anymore. So she asked to be released. And which is basically asked to be killed. And when she was killed, these memories escaped. So now no one has, or instead of a receiver keeping those memories, now the whole community has them. Now everyone experiences these memories. So it was awful. It was awful for the community to have these, just only 2 weeks worth of memories just come out into the open like that. And that's why and also I don't know if this is in the movie, Jonas has a set of rules if he wants to be the next receiver. And one of them is he cannot ask to be released. That used to not be a rule, but then Rosemary asked, and now it is a rule. So once these memories are lost, everyone starts experiencing them all together at the same time, which is crazy. No wonder they're so strict on keeping an eye on the receiver and Jonas, and they're not supposed to go out and do stuff in the world. And one of Jonas's rule that he can follow is he can lie to keep those memories safe, to keep the community safe. And that's one of the rules, that the community cannot lie. You cannot lie to each other. But Jonas gets that exception. Why would you completely eliminate that from the movie? I mean, is that just a hard concept to get in a visual?
It's not any harder than any other great concept on screen, but it requires
some thought.
It requires a lot of thought to get that across. It might require a certain amount of time too that they don't want to spend money on. But it requires producers to be storytellers or B hire storytellers, and they obviously didn't even try to hire anyone of worth here as far as getting a story across. They did in fact make a movie, that's true, and it made money, made quite a bit of money.
Oh my gosh,
made about 3 times its budget, which is, as we know, very good. That's unfortunate. That sounds like a great movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize there was going to be a dramatic element to this. It's not just this philosophical thing about the human condition all of a sudden. There's good drama here. Perfect
for a movie.
I could see this movie being a little long. I feel like this movie would probably have to be about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Not that that's a problem at all, because we would have had to really develop that dramatic piece and then have to deliver on the human condition of everybody kind of re-experiencing. I can see the very end, and we get a little bit of that when they're trying to euthanize the girl. What's her name?
Oh, Fiona.
His little girlfriend, Fiona. His girlfriend. Well, he's headed out towards the outer bounds, where I guess if he crosses that point, everyone gets their memories back, right? And we start to see everyone's eyes become glassy and look out and start to just experience whatever comes to their mind first, I guess. I don't know if there's any sequence to it, but it would have been good if we had better actors or whatever, or better shots. I'm not sure. We would have to just case by case basis on actor and angle and everything, but we have these zoom ins of just people just fucking basically dying on the inside because they're just overwhelmed by sensation, and their eyes maybe just dilate and they just turn super glassy, maybe not cry. Close zoom in, I can see some kind of real slow long zoom in on maybe his dad. Was his dad euthanizing
children? Yes.
Fiona, is that who that was?
No, that doesn't happen in the book.
Well, in the movie, was that his dad?
Yeah, that was his dad.
But just his dad specifically, or maybe we build up a character that is, maybe it's his mom. She's kind of very all in on the dystopian world, and so maybe it's her. We'd have to build her up a little bit too to make it effective, but we build her up, and then the memories are released, and then we get that long zoom in, kind of Mia Goth style, except actually zooming in with Pearl. Mm-hmm. How it's just a long 5, 6, 7, 8 minute take that was just fucking amazing, except not creepy, you know, and just make it kind of really Lynchian / Stanley Kubrick-ish, where it's just this. They can do it. They can do so many things on screen, right? They make it feel they finally, that payoff is building up, or that setup is building up, right? And that payoff is, and we know what it is, even though it's just eyeballs on screen of them experiencing everything all at fucking once, you know?
Yeah.
That'd been cool.
I mean, even, you know, if you can't do that, if you can't manage that, give me some panic attacks.
That would have been funny.
Give me some, like, some people jumping off bridges.
Yes, if they went down that route, that would have been kind of cool. That would have been kind of cool. People crying, yelling.
Yes, going crazy.
Outside.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I could see that, especially because that would have been the cheaper way out, I think, as far as like trying to get the point across of how dramatic of a change this is in these people's minds. That would have been cool. I mean, you know, there's many ways to skin a cat. It's hard to say if that would be better until we see it, but yeah, I mean, literally anything. But when we get a little bit of it at the end there, that end's probably the best part. When they all start feeling those last 2 minutes are probably the best part of the movie, with the exception of what the houses look aesthetically. That's very cool. And then the black and white is, like I was saying, it's low hanging fruit, but it's very cool. Not a lot of things do that, you know. Right. I hate to hear that. That makes this movie worse.
I mean, this movie spent so much time developing Fiona and Asher.
Yeah.
Which they're not even crucial in the movie. I mean, Fiona's only there for Jonas to have a dream. He has a dream about her. You know, like a sexy dream. He's like bathing her. And he tells his parents that he had this dream because they have to share their dreams in the morning. They all sit around and tell each other about their dreams. And so when he shares his dream, that's when his mom has a talk with him and tells him, oh, you are experiencing the stirrings. And he's like, the stirrings? Which in the film, it implies that it's just you're experiencing feelings. But no, it's deeper than that. You are experiencing having a sexual attraction to somebody, which is a big no-no because, you know, they're trying to control the amount of children they have in this world. So this is like huge for Jonas to be experiencing this. And that's when he starts taking the pill. And that's it. No more, you know, nothing, no feelings for Fiona, nothing goes further there.
Are they friends?
They're friends.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, we get more of Asher, I think, than we do of Fiona. And Fiona in the film is, I think, a nurturer, which is what the dad is when they take care of babies. In the movie, or in the book, she is she takes care of the old. You know, she has a completely different career, basically. So I guess they needed her in the movie to be a nurturer so Jonas can help escape with Gabe.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So I guess I see the point there.
There's probably no big heist in the book, was there?
No.
Yeah, no. They had to.
I'll get to that. But Asher, he's a fucking pilot in the film. In the book, he is I don't know what they call it, but he just the recreation master, whatever. He is in charge of games and recreation time for the kids. And that is it. There's no fight with Jonas, no nothing. I mean, this world is that. Nobody is experiencing anything that Jonas is experiencing, like the film is trying to.
Yeah.
It's only Jonas and the giver, I guess.
Yeah. Which should have made the film a little easier to make because it's not very ambitious. It's not as ambitious as your even most generic movies because we're dealing mostly with just two characters. Mm-hmm. And so that helps slim down the interesting dialogues, you know, as far as like between characters, because we only have the two characters. So it should be sort of easy to build up these personalities and what they are to each other. But that's kind of funny with Asher, is his name?
Asher, yeah. Ian.
Ian from Shameless. His whole point is to help let Jonas go at the end. That's why they built that up. So both of those characters were not neutered, but they were completely made anew just to help Jonas succeed on his adventures.
Which is not what the book is trying to tell us. Jonas is doing this by himself. And in the book, the Giver and Jonas have a plan, because I think the last memory Jonas receives, I might be wrong on this, is when the kids are a set of twins are measured, and the twin that weighs less is killed. No, wait, hold on. It's not a memory. It's just what his dad is doing.
Oh, okay.
And he's talking to the Giver about it, and the Giver basically tells him, like, this is what happened. One of them died because we can't have twins in this society for some reason, which, you would think you would want everybody to look the same, so why not have twins? But okay, no. Just and he's just so upset by this, so distraught by this, and he's just kind of bummed. So he tells the Giver, like, hey, let's do something about this. What are we doing? And they're coming up with a plan, and then they're gonna go over their plan. But that night when Jonas does come home, Gabe is at the house with them, and the dad's like, okay, sorry, but Gabe's getting released tomorrow because he can't sleep through the night. And that's just crazy. This little baby is getting killed because he cannot sleep through the night.
That's kind of cool.
So
does that happen in the book?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like, in the book, Jonas is home after his plan with the receiver. Because I think in the film, they don't make a plan. He's just home, and then he gets this news about Gabe, and he tries to go steal him.
Yeah.
So in the book, at night, when everyone's asleep, he just grabs Jonas, steals his dad's bike, and he goes off. He sneaks out of the community and rides and keeps riding until he can't ride anymore. And there are a few aircraft looking things looking for him, but by a certain amount of time, they kind of give up because they assume he's dead. And then he just keeps riding his bike and just in the book, he's in so much pain from pedaling, and they're experiencing sunlight, real sunlight, so he's getting sunburns. And then there's these sections where it's like really cold, so they're experiencing snow and coldness and hunger. And one of the ways that Jonas helps Gabe through this is by giving him memories, which I think we do get a little bit of that in the film. So when it's really, really cold, Jonas gives him the memory of warmth to help Gabe become warmth, and he actually does get warmth. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool. And we don't have any idea of what actually happens in the community. Nothing. We don't know anything. Once Jonas sneaks out and rides, we know absolutely nothing about the community. So that's left for us to interpret, which I do like to interpret that.
Yeah.
Probably half the community is gone because they couldn't take it, anymore. And I think the Giver, or Jonas, wanted the Giver to come with him, but the Giver was like, no, someone needs to stay here to help these people deal with this, because I can just imagine how awful it's about to get. So that's why the Giver didn't go with him. But in the end of the book, it's actually my favorite, and a lot of people don't like it because the ending is kind of ambiguous on whether Jonas and Gabe survive. But we have this beautiful description of the snow and Jonas riding down that hill with Gabe, and then he's holding him, and they're both just exhausted and about to die and hungry. And then Jonas starts hearing music, and he sees the Christmas lights on the windows, and then he's holding Gabe, and then the last sentence of the book is, but perhaps all this was just only an echo, kind of implying that they died. It's an awesome ending that they didn't capture that in the film.
No, then they could have.
And they definitely could have. And that ending it's crazy. It's one of the endings that people have struggled with when reading a book. And I guess a lot of people don't like ambiguous ending. They don't like it when the author leaves it up to you to interpret. And in one of the last chapters of the book, the author talks a little bit about her life and how this book came. And she said one of the most asked questions she gets is, what happened? Did they die? Did they not die? Like, what happened? And it turns out there are 3 other books to the series. Not super related, except for the fact that the last book, the kid in the book is Gabe. So she's like, so there's a little hint of hope for you. But I mean, this book was written in like 2000 something. So for a few years there, people didn't fucking know. And I bet that drove them crazy. And I like that. I like that ambiguous ending. It just makes it, it just hits you more than letting us know even if they did die. So why couldn't that have been captured in the film? Come on.
Yeah, that would have been easy.
That would have been super easy. There is this section in the book when they explain, or when they introduce about the release, about people getting released. One of the most common release ceremonies is of the old people. They have this wonderful celebration of this person, and they talk about his life. Their, fellow old people are there. Can't say their family are there because there's really no family. They have the old people, and they just talk about their life. Their fellow old people are there. Some of the children that volunteer in the community are there. And then they take them into this little room, and they're gone. They're taking elsewhere. That's what they call it. And everyone's just so happy and, so excited. And then the name of that old person is now given to one of the newborn children. So they can kind of like live on forever, I guess. So, I don't know. It's just kind of funny that they're all there like celebrating, and the old person in the back getting killed. I like the idea of the release ceremonies that they do. Yeah. They release you because you're old. They release you because you act bad or, non-conforming, really. You're not even acting bad. Like Gabe, poor Gabe, he was just crying.
And they could have maybe built that up on one level where they are doing this ceremony. It's like weird and happy and very cult-like, like Midsummer or something. Mm-hmm. But we don't know that they're dying, And then it's later revealed that, oh shit, this is what's going on.
Yeah, that would have been cool to include in the movie like that. Just make it like super excited and happy, and then later on in the movie, you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, they're gone.
The great irony is that she's living in a world of independence and individualism, but there's still this collective kind of mind share on whatever topic you want to bring up. Whether that's due to the normal distribution kind of laws of nature or dogmatism, I hate it, man. I hate that this movie just missed. This movie had the potential to be timeless, like so many great character studies from the fucking 50s. Yeah. I don't know if it's a product of modern landscape of filmmaking or if it's just laziness, it just fell in the wrong hands, but there's this fight that happens. You said it took like 10 years, right, to get this film off the ground? Yeah. Why you let it take, well, you're not letting it, I guess, but you're fighting for 10 years or whatever to make this film happen, and you put it in the hands of Philip Noyce and these other producers. It's just like there was someone on set who was more capable than any of the producers in Philip Noyce. Yeah. Whether he or she was a PA or a grip dude.
Yeah, I don't understand why there is not a fan club group.
Some council.
involved in some of these brainstorming sessions.
Yeah.
Why is there not?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to be a fly. I mean, I'll probably say it a million times. I'd love to be a fly on the wall during the brainstorm moments, right? When they are talking about figure out what this scene to scene is going to look like and what the general kind of dialogue is going to look like and how they walk away that day, that week, and are like, yeah, good work.
Good work. And then someone's like, wait a minute. Taylor Swift wants to be in this movie. Fuck. Well,
Do we want to make her Fiona or do we want to make her Rosemary? Or do we want to make her the sister? No, the sister can't be that old. All right, so she's got to be Fiona or Rosemary.
I guess Rosemary, but let's just not give her any lines. Let's just make her sing a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
She's too expensive to put in Fiona. If we would have gotten her 5 years earlier, she would have been perfect. But she's too expensive now. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is gonna be. I hope we enter an era in filmmaking. I mean, statistically, we have to. Maybe not in our lifetime. We have to enter an era of filmmaking where book adaptations are just super high quality. Just in general, you can imagine a time where filmmaking is maybe so expensive that they are not going to take risks on, I don't know, people who just want the film school. You know what I mean? Like, just maybe the film industry, I don't know, but maybe the film industry is this industry that relies too much on that degree and less on the vision and the know-how and intellect. You know? They're relying too much on just making something happen. They're relying too much on the nepotism. You know, it's...
You know, we see this throughout a lot of the films we have watched. It's just, let's see who we can make fall in love with each other. And let's throw in some action sequence that doesn't even make sense. Boom, we got a movie.
And I know there's different trends across different countries that make films. And maybe I know this movie's 9 years old now, but I feel like our whole life, we've been in this trend of filmmaking in the United States where they don't let you think for yourself, you know? They try to make things so watered down and thoughtless that you just are there to be maybe, I guess, entertained, to spend your money, whatever. But then you have these amazing, amazing films coming out of Korea and Japan and Germany and France and fucking India. Bollywood movies are showing up fucking Hollywood movies now. That is... I mean, I don't want to sound like a patriot, you know, but that's a fucking problem, okay? All right, American films should be better, you know? Yeah. They're not. And then you've got all the great filmmakers are just not making films. You know, where's David Lynch's last film? It's been like 13 years, all right? Whether you love or hate him, at least he makes interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
It's very disappointing when you have these great works of art, you know, these great books, and they make it into a movie and it just disappoints. It just misses what the book is about. It's like they did not read the books.
Yep.
It just feels like that.
They read the back of the book.
They read the back of the book, or they write a synopsis on the internet.
Yeah.
Sparks notes, whatever, and they're like, okay, let's run with this. And then, oh wait, I don't know how to put this very, you know, high level thought.
They're in over their head, and then they try to...
let me just dumb it down.
And it's probably not even a dumbing it down. It's probably bringing it to their level. You know, they're not thinking, oh, I need to dumb this down for audiences. I need to figure out how to make sense of this while still having a tether to the source material. Because you're a fucking idiot. You know, the person writing it. And what's really, at the end of the day, the thing that sucks the most dick is there can't just be any Yahoo making the next The Giver, trying to redo it, make it better. Because who owns the rights to the movie now? Fucking stupid ass Lionsgate, Sony, whoever, right?
Yeah.
They can't just make a great The Giver film that's made on a shoestring budget.
Oh,
That's many times better than this $25 million piece of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's so sad. That's so sad.
It sucks. We're going to have to wait till it's in the public fucking domain. I can't wait for the people, 100, 150, 200 years from now when they have all this great source material that have been explored somewhat in movies. And they're like, these are really great movie premises that were never done justice, right? And so we're going to now do them justice. And anyone will be able to, because there will be no right in 100 years from now. Anyone can do the Giver movie.
Yeah. I mean, you fuck up movies like Twilight. That's fine. You fuck up movies like the Hunger series, Divergent series, which they're not bad films whatsoever, but you fuck them up. That's fine. But then you have things like The Giver. You can't fuck that one up. You have things like I don't know if you read The Glass Castle, but the film came out pretty recently, I think. And it's also up there on one of my favorite books, one of my favorite memoirs. And you fuck that up. And
is that the Brie Larson movie?
Yeah, I think that's the Brie Larson movie.
Yeah,
yep.
That movie was okay.
Yeah. The book's awesome.
Yeah, imagine the movies probably... That movie's actually, for movies, adapted movies, that's probably... among the better. I mean, sure, there's tons on the landscape of it all. I'm sure there's many, many, many more shitty ones, of course. They're just trying to cash in on the name. But that movie, you'd have to tell me a little bit about the book. But that movie seemed to be pretty well made.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it may be like the Shining type thing where it just took its own angle.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that, and you do have things in books that you can't capture in films. And that's where the creativity needs to come in. How can I can't do exactly what this book says, but how can I make the audience feel exactly what this feeling that I'm trying to feel right now?
Yeah. And if you can't, take a very specific angle from the movie and run with it and make it a companion piece.
Yeah.
Like
Jaws. Jaws did it beautifully.
Yeah, The Shining too, I think.
Yeah, I guess I never read The Shining, so I wouldn't know, but...
Yeah, well, from what I can tell, the movie's many times better than the book.
Oh, okay. So, interesting.
Because, it's about... Apparently, the Dr. Sleep book, or the Dr. Sleep movie is a little more in line with what you'd expect from the Shining book, in that it revolves around this magical, telepathic thing that's stupid, if you ask me. I'd much rather a character study of Jack Nicholson losing his fucking mind on a mountain. You know what I'm saying? Any day of the week. Yeah, I mean, it's another miss.
Another miss.
I hate it for you because I know you love this book. I love the premise. Any human condition premise speaks to me deeply, and the human condition is 100%. There's some great human condition relevant movies out there that are amazing, but that's definitely best explored in books for sure. I get it. It's hard to get that stuff on. It's easier for one person to develop this really amazing idea over the course of several years than a group of several hundred people trying to all work together and get things together and work under a budget and stuff. There's no budget in a book, right? At least for any book that's worth its weight, right? We're gonna have to start watching some better movies.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for having this conversation with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for watching this movie with me.
Yeah, no problem.
I forgot to say that last time, but that movie was so bad. That's Paint. We did Paint last time.
And thank you guys for listening. If you like this episode, please check out some of our other book versus film books. I mean...
Books versus books, film books.
Please check out some of our other episodes where we compare books versus movies, like Ender's Game, Aragon, Jaws. Jaws is a popular one, so please check that out.
Also check out the Evil Dead Rise episode. That's a great episode. Great movie. If you haven't gone and watched that, definitely.
Great movie. Creepy movie.
Paint, not a very good movie, but a great episode to watch or listen to, so you can get the gist of what happened and not have to feel like you watched it.
Yeah, I'd recommend that for sure. Don't waste your time.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies and books. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon. That's a good place to listen to our podcasts too. And follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, or movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.